On today's Lunch and Learn, we are going to discuss topics as follows in Easy 3DI software: impacted molars, impacted canine teeth, and reviewing mesiodens. So, Jim, what are we taking a look at today?
So today we're going to look at a case study where we have our panoramic images, a Ceph, and also CT, but specifically we're going to look at impactions of the third molars, and also we have a supernumerary we're going to look at on this individual scan itself. So let's start with basically our panoramic image here. And so I have two separate pans. One is from the suite of images here, and this is just a comparison. So I'm going to go over to my viewer, and let's look at our pan image of this case. So here is our panoramic image. And Paul, what are you seeing on screen here?
I see something in the sinus, a little bit of translucency in both sides of the sinuses, just right off the bat. So you can take a look at that a little bit further when we take a look at the CT, and then also, we have our molars, impacted molars down there on each side, both sides.
Yeah, so this patient does have all of their third molars, and if we actually look at 18 and 19 here, this really stands out, right?
Right.
Absolutely. The issue right here. So that's, I think, actually, this is why the patient ultimately came to the office.
Right.
So here's a couple of things we're going to look at. That's mostly what I'm picking up off of this pan. And I do want to highlight, we talked about the lucency and the sinus here. So let's come and look and do a comparison. So you can see here how clear our sinuses look.
Yep.
Compared to our sinuses on our pan here. And let's just do this, enlarge this really quick here, and we can kind of look at that specific to the clean sinuses through there, minus the hard palate here, but you can see that. So we're going to take a look at our 3D rendering here, our CT image. This is off of a Smart Plus, so I'm going to go ahead and double click here, and it's going to go ahead and launch my 3D rendering right here. So Paul, I'm going to start by looking at the 3D rendering here. We're also going to look at those sinuses from our MPR, or our axial, sagittal, and coronal. We'll do a little bit of clipping to visualize those, and I think then you're going to take it over and go through some of the 3D pan, take some screenshots, and move forward there. So
yep.
Let's look at the obvious. We can see our third molars here.
Yep.
We can also see over here on our 18 and the 19, where that is being pushed into the distal edge here. One other thing that we did notice, if I tip this down, we can see our mesiodens, or our little supernumerary right there, peeking out. And this is another issue that was brought to attention by the doctor that provided this case to us here. So what are the best ways to visualize this? What I usually do is, let's turn this to more of a hard tissue. And now what I can do is come down here to my apply clipping. And I'm going to go to my smart clipping here. What we can do is we can establish one central point for our kind of like a rotation point. And so now as I rotate around this, I can strip that bone away, and we can see our molars and then how that is hinging on number 19 right there.
So Jim, clipping is basically you're cutting away from that 3D rendering to get to a position where you want it. In this case, you're moving from the rear to the front on that little slider under the clipping window.
Yeah, so over here on this clipping window is basically moving rear to front and establishing a central point, and now I can just rotate on that axis. So imagine we have one axis point here and rotate through. And there's several ways to do this clipping, but as we go across, we can start to see in the maxilla here, we can see that little mesiodens right there, that supernumerary in that palatine duct. Another way to view that is, let's change this over to our teeth mode. And as I clip through, you can really see that right here, or if we come down and kind of flip through, we can visualize that in there. So this is one way to rotate through, looking at our images through here, and utilizing our hard tissue / soft tissue right here.
Right.
Our rendering. Another way I like to do with this clipping, I'm going to reset that, bring this back to center. Let's go into our axial slice, and I'm going to use this. I just want to see 20 millimeter cut. So horizontally, we're seeing 20 millimeters here. And now on my slider bar, I can move back and forth here. You can see, let's focus on the maxilla here. You can really see that impaction right here. Let's go back to our, as we rotate around, this is the view right here. We can go through and really visualize that for our oral surgeon on whatever we need to do. Now, we did talk about the mandible here. Let's cut this down and rotate. If I scroll down, we can really see that cut horizontally, and you can see that impingement there. So a lot of different ways to use your clipping over here, specific to this scan itself. Two other things I would like to cover is the sculpting. So usually you're on measurement here. Let's go down to sculpt, and I can use my scissors here, and we can actually cut away. I'm just drawing a circle around there, and we can actually cut away a certain area. So let's cut everything else out. And now, if I rotate around, we can see just that small area. So this is another excellent way to take that, look at some screenshots, and pass this off to the oral surgeon. Orthodontist. And I can reset that right here. It should reset everything. So one other thing I would like to talk about is we had mentioned the pan and the issues in the sinus. So I'm going to go ahead and right click here and switch my axial slice to the main view. And wanted to let everyone note that this patient is a little bit malpositioned. And so I did have to go through and adjust my slices to get this positioned properly on our screen. So if I scroll up into the maxilla here, into the sinuses, you can see our sinuses here. One other way to view this is go to the coronal view, switch to the main view, and let's drag our coronal slice, and let's scroll back posterior. You can see that supernumerary there, and then look at our sinuses, how cloudy they are on the right side and on the left side for sure, but we do have something going on both sides. So that was another thing that we did discover when we were going through this entire pan itself. Paul, do you want to take us through 3D pan and easy, quick views of that and ways we can take some screenshots, and maybe if we have time, we can look at our consult videos?
Sure, absolutely. So I would just like to demonstrate just another way to view all of this information from the 3D pan. So I'm going to click on the 3D pan window. So we have our 3D rendering and our navigation window. So I'm going to simply drag that over to the area that we want to take a look at, and we can see, we can see our molars there, our impacted molars, and the mesioden there. So I'm just going to grab my navigation box and position it right over this impacted molar. Now I can, I like to best practice kind of put it at the same angle as my tooth I want to take a look at. I have my slices down on the bottom, so I can zoom in on them. I'm hitting Control and scroll to zoom in on my slices. I like to use that shortcut. Now these slices, if I do a right click and change the interval, right now it's set to 1 millimeter. So I could put that up or down if I want to change it to, let's say, 0.5 millimeter of distance between those slices. I can do that. And I can simply scroll through my slices here, back and forth to really see that position there. And I can also move this box so I can see right through the roots to get right to the position I want to see that impaction.
And if you scroll up there, you can really see how number 18 is affecting that distal side of number 19 on there.
Right. The other thing I can do here is go to my scout view. We do have this little rotation tool to kind of get a different view around as well.
And that'll give you the option to rotate around that 360 degrees right there.
Yep.
as you go through there.
See that there.
Yeah,
I can also do that. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Maybe that would be good to look at that rotational view at that mesiodens up in the maxilla there.
Yeah, absolutely. So another quick way to navigate this 3D pan to go take a look at that mesioden in between 8 and 9 there is just do a double click. So I'm just going to double click right on it. And it takes me right to that position. And then we can clearly see it in there. I could angle it. And again, do my scrolling, you can clearly see that mesioden right in there. You know, if I want to take a screenshot of that, let's say I want to show the patient that exact position or wherever I would like it at, I can simply click on the screenshotting capture view frame up top. That will take a screenshot of the entire screen. But let's say I only want to take a capture of just that one section slice, or perhaps these 3 section slices. I can go navigate to the drop down that says measurement and switch it to capture. And then to the right of that is going to be some additional capture tools. So I could capture region, kind of like a Snagit tool, or capture window. Both are really effective. In this, if I want to capture, let's say those 3 slices, I'm going to click on the first one, capture region, and I'm going to simply click and drag the area that I want to capture. When I let go of the mouse, it's going to say, do you want to capture? I'm going to click yes, and it will save that image there. You know, in this case, I could also flip my box up so that red line is horizontal with my roots there, and we can scroll up and view it there as well. And I can also, again, rotate with my scout view if I want to kind of rotate around that position all the way around it to see the relationship there.
So some really good tools specific to visualizing any sort of really impactions there. Paul, after we've taken those screenshots, let's go over to the console window and let's kind of navigate through that and look at our console.
So now that we've taken our screenshots, we've assessed our areas and taken those and captured those images we wanted to, you know, maybe show the patient and save for later, we can go to the console tab. So the console tab is in the 3D software. However, I'm going to navigate back to my EasyDent software. And the console tab is also there. So it's a really quick and easy way to access these screenshots. Let's say if you don't want to pull the 3D software up, we have the accessibility right here on the console. So I'm going to click on console. It takes me right in. Now below under captured images, we have all our screenshots. So I can just click them and drag them into the window. And you can see here, this is the original pan that we were taking a look at. You can see here, this is the original pan that we were looking at earlier. And we can put it side by side with some of our screenshots from our 3D to get a great comparison of 2D versus 3D. You can see the mesioden right there, and as to what it looks like in comparison to the 2D. And again, we can just click and drag our images into the window. And I can also have additional windows just by going to change layout. Let's say I have maybe 4 images I want to display. I can click on change layout. You can see there's a selected number of boxes. Let's say I want 4 windows instead of 2. We can just click 2 by 2 and click OK. And now I could drag my additional windows up to have this ready for the patient to discuss with the patient, let's say. In addition, we also have consult videos, lots and lots of videos in here under category. So for example, if I go to oral surgery, we can see we have extraction, among other things in there, and I can simply find a video that will relate to the case, and I can simply click it and drag it up to the window, and it will play an animation there. So between the screenshots and the videos that we have, it's really a good comprehensive set of tools to get that case across.
Yeah, well, I think we've really taken everybody from looking at our 2D image through the 3D software to visualize our impactions, and then also relay it specifically to the patient with the consult videos.
So thank you everyone for joining us today. If you guys have any questions for the education team, please reach out to us at education@vatechamerica.com.
Yeah, and don't forget about our webinar schedule for upcoming webinars. You can see on the home page, go to webinar schedule here, and you'll have all of our upcoming sessions found under meetings and events. And then also everything, we have a lot of recordings from past events. So you can find them under the Education Academy, under webinar. We have our software tutorials and also devices over here of 3D imaging, but also have our 2D imaging and even our intraoral sensors on there now. Over 200 hours of recorded session there.
Yeah, lots of content.
Well, I want to thank everyone for joining us today. And we look forward to our next session with you.
Thank you.